Good evening, I'm Lee Zurich.
And I'm Lauren McCoy. Ninth grade students at Hahnville High are learning one of their classmates was 10 years older than them last school year.
Maddie Kurth joins us with why St. Charles Parish authorities believe a 28-year-old woman was pretending to be a teenager.
Hey guys, using a fake passport and birth certificate, the St. Charles Parish Sheriff's Office says that 28-year-old managed to complete a full year of school, though they said she had no nefarious intent, enrolling not to harm other students, but to simply take classes.
So if you've got kids in the school system, you want to know why is a student there who's literally 10 years older than the rest of the students.
Authorities in St. Charles Parish believe they know why a 28-year-old woman allegedly falsified documents, posed as a teenager, and enrolled in the 9th grade at Hahnville High.
The young lady caused no problems. She did nothing inappropriate with any other students, kept to herself, went home, didn't engage in any other criminal or inappropriate behavior.
Sheriff Greg Champon says Martha Gutierrez Serrano and her mother, Marta Serrano Alivardo, used a fake passport and fake birth certificate from Honduras so the woman could better her English skills and get a good education. St. Charles Parish Public Schools Superintendent Dr. Ken Ortling plans to audit all enrollment records of current students and reevaluate from there.
It's my sincere hope that this particular incident will bring an awareness to school systems in Louisiana and throughout our country the need to review and enhance their student enrollment processes.
But neither Champon nor Ortling would go into detail about the 28-year-old student's involvement in any clubs, athletics, or extracurriculars. They cited FERPA, the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, saying they're protecting the privacy of their students.
Whether it's the student we're mentioning today or any student enrolled in our school. So we're not going to mention anything about something that may be linked to a potential student record, which could include activities that they belong to, their grade, discipline records, so on and so forth.
That act would still protect her even though she wasn't allowed to be a student in the public school system?
Well, she's innocent until proven guilty. So as of right now, she's a student. We brought a criminal charge, but everybody's innocent until proven guilty.
This woman thought enough about learning English and getting an education that she put herself at risk to do that.
Fox 8 legal analyst Joe Responti thinks the case won't make it very far.
I'm hopeful that these charges get dismissed because she was trying to get herself educated. By all accounts, she didn't harm anyone. I think she should get a medal and be held up as an example to the kids who cut class.
Now, both women were held on $30,000 bonds for their alleged crimes. Sheriff Champon saying they made that bond within a few hours of their booking and were released from custody.